In the heart of ancient Rome, a city drowning in opulence, blood sport, and sensual pleasure, stood a man who moved like a shadow behind the great names. While Caesar pursued glory and Pompey basked in military triumph, Marcus Crassus operated in silence. He was not Rome's most loved man, nor its most praised, but he was undeniably its richest, and not by accident. Crassus's fortune was not simply the result of ambition or luck. It was the product of unshakable discipline, of a man who mastered his desires instead of being mastered by them. In a world ruled by indulgence, Crassus chose restraint, and in doing so, he turned erotic discipline into strategic advantage. Most men today do not understand how much power they leak. They scroll endlessly through digital harems, drain themselves through casual pleasure, and chase the validation of women as if it were the peak of masculinity. But Crassus belonged to a different breed. While the Roman Senate indulged in wine-soaked orgies and theatrical vanity, Crassus was building his empire in the shadows, buying land from ruins, lending money to senators at interest, quietly amassing power while others spent theirs. Pleasure weakens a man's ability to see long-term. Crassus understood this. Where other men were ruled by appetite, whether for food, attention, or flesh, he trained himself to delay gratification. He wasn't distracted by Rome's seductive noise. He listened instead for silence, because it was in silence that opportunity whispered. Crassus's infamous fire brigade scheme is more than a story of ruthless entrepreneurship. It is a metaphor for erotic transmutation. When fires broke out in Rome, Crassus and his men would arrive not to save lives, but to buy property. As flames engulfed the homes of the desperate, he offered a price: cheap, unfair, predatory. And once ownership changed hands, his private brigade would put out the fire. Cold, calculated, controlled. Most would see this as greed, but it was something deeper. It was mastery. Crassus didn't respond to chaos with emotion. He anticipated it. And by refusing to feel guilt or chase the approval of the crowd, he retained a godlike detachment that allowed him to manipulate crisis into capital. This is the essence of erotic discipline, not just sexual control, but the ability to override your animal instincts for long-term power. The average man is driven by whatever excites him in the moment. He sees a woman and he loses focus. He sees conflict and he reacts emotionally. He sees pleasure and he surrenders to it. But Crassus trained himself differently. He didn't react. He positioned. He didn't chase. He accumulated. He understood that desire is a flame that consumes those who don't learn how to contain it. He kept that flame sealed inside, using it to fuel action rather than indulgence. His willpower became a weapon, his restraint a vault. And from that vault, he funded revolutions, bought senators, and even helped bankroll Julius Caesar's rise. It was Crassus, not Caesar, who understood the deeper game, the one that plays out in gold, silence, and sacrifice. This is the lesson modern men have forgotten. Erotic discipline is not repression. It is redirection. It's not about being less of a man, but becoming more of one, more composed, more strategic, more immune to temptation. The man who cannot deny himself cannot be trusted with power, because he will sell it, sabotage it, or give it away the moment desire comes knocking. But the man who can starve his flesh to feed his vision, that man becomes rare, dangerous, inevitable. Crassus saw Rome burning and didn't weep. He saw a market. And while others were distracted by the flames, he became the fire. Turning lust into leverage, how Crassus outmaneuvered men and markets. Marcus Crassus understood something that most men, even the powerful ones, never grasp. Erotic energy is leverage. It is not merely about sex or the suppression of it, but about what happens when a man reclaims that primal power and reroutes it toward conquest, creation, and control. While others allowed lust to leak through their words, their eyes, their decisions, Crassus kept his sealed. That sealed desire became fuel. He never chased pleasure because he understood a deeper game was being played, the game of positioning, patience, and persuasion. Erotic discipline for Crassus was not just moral, it was tactical, and it gave him the upper hand over men who were stronger, louder, and more charismatic than him. He didn't need to be admired. He needed to be obeyed. He didn't need to seduce crowds. He needed to own the arena they fought in. His fire brigade strategy was not the work of a greedy man. It was the work of a disciplined one. It revealed a mind that did not rush to comfort or respond to public outrage. He trained himself to operate where others couldn't, during crisis, in discomfort, amidst destruction. His brigade didn't move with sympathy, they moved with structure. His wealth didn't come from conquest on the battlefield, but from a more quiet war, one of finance, property, and social manipulation. The men of Rome were drunk on the glory of war and the warmth of women. Crassus stayed sober. Erotic discipline sharpened his mind like a blade. When the fire hit, he didn't panic or react. He made an offer. And in doing so, he turned chaos into real estate. Even in the famous First Triumvirate, his alliance with Julius Caesar and Pompey, Crassus played the quiet power role. Caesar had the charm, Pompey the military prestige. Crassus had the gold. But gold was only part of it. What he truly had was restraint. While Caesar wrote poems and chased aristocratic women, Crassus remained focused. He didn't crave admiration. He bought influence. He didn't waste time in scandal. He funded revolutions and forged deals that went unseen by public eyes. And though he was mocked by the masses who didn't understand him, it didn't matter. Because Crassus wasn't playing for applause. He was playing for control. This is the same strategy that modern men ignore. Instead of conserving their erotic power, they waste it on pixels, on meaningless flings, on validation that vanishes by morning. They react when they should observe. They chase when they should build. They burn themselves out before they've even constructed the life they say they want. What Crassus teaches is this: if you can control the most powerful urge within you, you can control your position in any environment. Erotic discipline turns you into a man who can wait while others rush, who can endure while others need relief, who can see clearly while others are blinded by lust. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you precise. Every empire begins with self-governance. The man who governs himself will soon govern others. Crassus didn't talk about willpower, he lived it. He built systems. He leveraged chaos. He studied people's weaknesses and never revealed his own. Where others wasted time trying to be liked or trying to win women, Crassus was stacking gold, favor, and silence. That is leverage. That is erotic energy. Unwasted, untainted, unleashed only when necessary. And because of that, he wasn't just rich, he was dangerous. In every age, most men will be ruled by the same appetites. But the rare ones, the men like Crassus, see the game behind the game. They realize that every drop of desire withheld is another brick in their empire. While others indulge, they build. While others chase, they wait. And when the moment is right, they strike. Not with passion, but with precision. Death of desire, the Stoics' path to cold clarity. This is not a guide. This is not self-help. This is war. Kill the need. Master the mind. The Stoic flame. Why erotic discipline still wins in a decadent world. Marcus Crassus's life ends not in glory, but in caution. His downfall came not from lust, but from the one impulse he had rarely entertained: vanity. His campaign against Parthia, far from Roman soil and filled with overconfidence, led to his death in humiliating fashion. His mouth, once a symbol of wealth and command, was reportedly filled with molten gold by his enemies, a symbolic punishment for the man who controlled Rome's economy. But it wasn't greed that killed Crassus. It was a brief lapse in discipline, a break in his code. A man who had mastered erotic energy, political games, and market timing for decades fell not because he was weak, but because he forgot the very principle that made him powerful: control. And this is the final warning. Erotic discipline isn't a one-time choice. It's a lifelong war. In today's world, this war has only intensified. The modern man is surrounded by illusions of pleasure, algorithmic temptation in his pocket, validation on demand, sensual distraction in every corner of culture. The cost of indulgence has never been higher, and yet most men pay the price gladly, trading focus for fantasy, purpose for porn, legacy for lust. The same energy that once built empires now builds only shame. And yet, for the few men who resist, who reforge themselves in silence, who study history not to romanticize it, but to learn from it, those men still hold the keys to power. The lessons of Crassus are not bound to Roman ruins. They are alive in every man who denies his lower nature in service of a higher aim. Erotic discipline today means something deeper than abstinence. It means presence. It means choosing discomfort when comfort is available. It means seeing a woman's attention and not collapsing into it. It means watching the world chase dopamine while you chase dominion. Crassus understood that you can't lead an empire if you're ruled by your own urges. The man who is driven by lust is easy to manipulate. Tempt him, and he folds. Distract him, and he forgets. Praise him, and he withers. But the man who denies pleasure becomes the one who decides when it arrives, and on whose terms. He becomes the architect, not the addict. Discipline is not repression, it is elevation. Erotic energy, in its raw form, is chaos. But when refined, when redirected into wealth, physicality, strategy, or legacy, it becomes fire under control. This is the Stoic flame. It is not loud. It does not flicker in the wind of public opinion. It burns steady beneath the surface, guiding your actions, sharpening your vision, and purifying your ambition. The man who carries this flame does not move like the others. He walks slowly, he speaks rarely, he calculates deeply. He is not in competition with men who lust. He is building something they'll never understand. So what now? You must ask yourself one question. What am I doing with the most powerful force inside of me? Is it being spent or stored? Is it distracting me or driving me? Erotic discipline is not a trend. It is a tactic. It is the secret code of men who win silently while the world watches others fall publicly. You don't need more pleasure. You need more purpose. You don't need more release. You need more resolve. Crassus did not win because he was perfect. He won because he was willing to deny what weaker men chased. In an age of chaos, erotic discipline is clarity. In a culture of indulgence, it is rebellion. In a world of weak men, it is war. Hold the flame. Refuse the chase. Build the empire. Thus remember, we are Indeceptor. Becoming Indeceptor is the code they never wanted you to learn. A psychological war map for men, forbidden teachings fused with modern strategy for influence, dominance, and self-mastery. If you want peace, prepare for war. Welcome to the Indeceptor archive, where the undeceived rise. No ads, no distractions, just pure, uninterrupted power. As a crusader of the archive, you gain infinite access to every video, every truth, every strategy, without censorship, delay, or interruption. New drops daily, delivered to you before the world sees them. Raw, unfiltered, elite. Indeceptions.com